No music again today because I keep forgetting to charge the iPad, and I'm not going to go back and fix stuff in post. So here we are. Welcome back to another episode of the Not Safe for Work MMA show on the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. Please check out the rest of the shows in the network. We got some great stuff on here. We got Keith and Ben doing some great stuff, so please go check them out for sure. You also got Riley doing his show, Shooting the Shit, every week. And we also have a show Drake Riggs is doing, or Dre Riggs is Drake? Is it Drake?
I think it's Drake.
I got it right the first time.
Yep.
I think he goes by Dre like on Facebook or something, so that's why that's why I'm getting confused. I don't know. But he also has a show that's centered around, I believe, Asian MMA, so please check out that as well.
Hey, now.
Fred, welcome.
Mr. Kyle.
I'm Kyle Steele. This is Fred Kirby, and we're going to talk some shit.
Welcome to
That's what we do.
Not Safe for Work MMA podcast.
We may not talk too much shit today.
There's going to be some shit talk.
You talking some shit?
Oh,
today?
you betcha. You betcha.
You betcha. Oh, you want to talk some shit about the next pay-per-view? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
I'll gladly talk some shit about that.
That one's not too sexy, is it? Is that the last pay-per-view? That's not the last pay-per-view of the year.
No, I don't think so.
I was going to say, come on now. I know they're not going to end out the year.
There's no way.
What is the card that they're ending the year on? What's the big end of the year
We'll
card?
see.
Okay, we'll get to that at some point.
Okay,
listen, I'll take a shitbird in November. That's the way it goes. But we got to have the end of the year card's got to be okay at least, for fuck's sakes.
Can I give you the thing that I was shocked by? And I don't want to dig too deep because I didn't really publicly talk about it. But I'll tell you the reason why I didn't publicly talk about it, because I didn't think there was much debate. So I didn't really talk about it that much. And then as the card got closer and I started paying attention to betting lines, I started paying attention to narratives, I was like, what the fuck is happening? The Bryce Mitchell-Andre Fili fight was really close on odds. Mm-hmm. On DraftKings, somebody released all the ownership. Andre Fili was double owned over Bryce Mitchell, which is crazy because you get so many points for takedowns on DraftKings. That blows my mind. Mm-hmm. And then on whatever the MMA groups I'm in, where they have who's winning the fight, heavily towards Andre Fili. And I didn't realize until a day or two before the fight, so I didn't really talk about it. But I was like, it's not even close for me. I was like, Bryce Mitchell will easily win the fight. Now, it was a little closer than even I expected it to be, which I guess is why the lines were closer. People a lot smarter than me were seeing stuff. Andre Fili is a lot more well-rounded than I remember him being.
Right.
But are people not understanding what Bryce Mitchell is? Are you one of those people?
Well, no. I definitely favored Bryce Mitchell going into the fight, but I don't think I was as sold as you. Again, I thought that, Touchy-Feely, as much as I hate his fucking nickname, for fuck's sakes.
I love it.
I did think, of course you did. You fucking old perv. I thought that it was going to be a good test for Bryce Mitchell. Quite frankly, the fight looked about how I thought it would. I mean, Bryce pretty much dominated, but,
He landed some great shots on the feet, too, though. He had really good timing.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's a good kid. To be fair, though, I don't. What are we at there? What is that? Fucking featherweight? Is that featherweight or bantamweight?
Yeah, featherweight.
It's featherweight. Listen. I mean, do I fucking think that Max Holloway and Volkanovski are quivering in their boots for his little camo panties? I don't. I'm not.
I think you're out of your mind.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You think he's a future title contender?
I do.
Oh, well, get the fuck out of here. Listen.
I do.
I like him. I
think he's going to keep putting his game together, and I think he's going to keep. Look how unhappy he was with his performance.
I mean, yeah, I do like that about him.
He was so unhappy about his performance.
Which, to be fair,
he completely dominated.
Yeah, but,
maybe not completely, but he dominated.
I mean, look.
He took Andre Fili down. The most times Andre Fili had been taken down was 4 times. That time he got taken down 7. And when he got taken down, Andre Fili was able to get up, and that's why Bryce was unhappy, that's what I think, that's the part of the game with Bryce Mitchell that I think is going to get better. I don't think his stand-up's going to get much better.
Well,
I don't think necessarily the way he looks on the ground is going to get much better. But what I think Bryce Mitchell is going to go back and work on is if I take a motherfucker down, they're not getting back up.
Right.
I'm going to figure out the exact points of gravity that I need to sit on. I'm going to learn the fulcrums to a fucking T, and if I get them down, it's going to be a Habib style smothering, where if I get you down, you're just not going to get back up. Or if you do get back up, I'm going to take you back down immediately. Right. And that's and I think Bryce needs to work on his cardio that much more, because if you're going to have that style, you got to be superb in the cardio department. You have no room for error in cardio, because you are going to be expending an enormous amount of energy if you go up against a guy who can stuff you a couple times.
Well, sure.
So I think the two things he's going to really, really work on is cardio and just continuing to hone in on how to keep people down. And dude, if those two things get fixed, how the fuck do you beat that? Especially at 45.
To be fair, okay. I don't know. Who has he? He's not really faced.
I got that.
A dominant grappler,
but
somebody that can really grapple yet. I mean,
listen. He went up against his last fight was against a legitimate black belt.
Who? Fucking
Charles Rosa.
Oh, stop it.
I'm not saying he's all that good, but
stop it with the Rosa.
He's a legit black belt under a good tutelage.
Okay, listen.
Cue
the fucking Corey Anderson about levels. I mean, there are levels to black belts. I like Charles Rosa, but like, there's Korean zombies and there's a lot of Brian Ortega. Let me tell you something, Jack. We're at featherweight. You fucking think that he's taking Brian Ortega down and doing anything to Brian Ortega on the ground? You realize they're in the same weight division, right? If he fucking fights Brian Ortega, he will get his milk money took. Snatched and took. Or listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is that good, but for me, I don't think he wants that sort of smoke yet. Like, all joking aside, I would like to see him get a nice little bump up in competition. Can you do me a favor? Can we pull up the featherweight rankings? Do we got?
Yeah, sure.
Because I am curious who he should go up against next, because he did look dominant. Touchy-feely's a really nice little veteran, but again, he's sort of that guy that is impressive to dominate, but not necessarily, going to get my panties too terribly wet.
I just think it's the whole, and we all know I've coined this phrase, right? I came up with this. No one else came up with it. I came up with it on my own.
Easy.
But styles make fights.
Okay. Now I get a joke.
Styles make fights.
I was like, Jesus, easy, Kyle. I mean, this was all mine here.
I remember Keith reached out to me one time after we recorded one of these, and he was like, "You keep saying styles make fights over and over again, as if it's your fucking phrase." I'm like, "Well, that's how you take over something. You
just run with it.
You just run with it, baby."
It is quite true.
All right, so Bryce Mitchell right now is sitting at 15.
Okay.
All right, now let me tell you though, the problem with Bryce Mitchell is he has a giant roadblock in front of him. And do you know the name of that roadblock?
I do not.
I'll tell you the name of that roadblock. His name is Ryan Hall. And that is a fuck of a roadblock for that style.
Well, it didn't take long looking at this fucking list to come up with somebody that old fucking Bryce don't match up so fucking well against.
Oh, boy, that is a tough one. How do I... The problem...
Yeah, well, okay, so all joking aside, what the fuck would he do with Ryan Hall?
I'm goddamn obsessed with Ryan Hall, and I'm becoming obsessed with Bryce Mitchell. If those two people fight, I'm just not going to watch it. And even though
what?
I want to see that fight really bad,
I was saying we could almost just cut the computer off, Jay. Done deal. That's actually not bad.
I want that fight.
Although, no, you know what? To be fair, I don't like that fight because I don't like it for Bryce Mitchell yet. I do think that
I don't like it for Ryan Hall either, because the Ryan Hall's jiu-jitsu is obviously at this point second to just about nobody
in that division for sure.
Certainly, and I don't even know in the other divisions who I would favor as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned. But Ryan Hall is
let's get fucking crazy here. He's no fucking Damon Maya. What, because he fucking heel hooked BJ Penn when BJ was 132 years old, for fuck's sakes? Easy, Ryan Hall.
It's everything else he's done, too.
You know what? I will give Ryan Hall this. For being such a little dorky character, he does sort of, nobody wants to fight me. I tell you that. I just can't find a fight. He's got this sort of narrative out there that everybody's just terrified of him. I'm sure somebody wants to fight the fucking guy. Oh, well, you fuck off with the nobody wants to fight Ryan Hall.
Wanted to fight Ryan Hall.
I promise you somebody
Who
wants
wanted
that
to fight Ryan Hall?
I guarantee you somebody wants that fucking smoke, for sure. I mean, we're looking at the fucking baddest dudes on earth. I'm sure they're not like, oh, Ryan Hall, my God. His jiu-jitsu's so terrifying. He's going to grab a hold of my ankle and twist it. Fuck off. Bullshit, Ryan Hall can't get a fucking fight. No, all bullshit aside, he was supposed to fight Cub, right?
I don't
Swanson,
remember.
I think.
Was it Ricardo Lamas?
Oh yeah, Ricardo. That's who it was. Ricardo Lamas. And then what? I think Ryan Hall had to pull out, right? Because
there was only one man that's been brave enough to really take on Ryan Hall.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
And that man was Arum Lobov.
Artem Lobov.
You remember they fought on? It was the Ryan Hall won tough, right?
I think so. Yeah,
And it was
he's undefeated,
and
right?
I think it was beating Artem. No, he's not undefeated. I think he's lost a fight in the UFC.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Well, what the fuck's all the hype about with Ryan Hall then? Because because he submitted BJ? I don't really get it.
No, he has not lost a fight in the UFC.
Okay.
He is 8-1 though, but that's whatever. You lose a fight in the beginning.
Yeah. I was saying
he beat Artem Lobov. He just doesn't fight enough, but he beat Artem Lobov on the Ultimate Fighter. Then he beats Gray Maynard. Then he beats BJ Penn. Then he beats Darren Elkins.
He didn't submit Elkins though, did he?
He didn't.
See, I don't love
he got, in fact, he decision against Lobov, decision against Gray Maynard, and then I think that was Gray Maynard's first fight at 145.
I think so too.
And then he obviously
heel hook
BJ, which is what it is.
Right.
And then goes for a decision with Elkins.
Huh. Maybe his fucking jiu-jitsu game might be
I just think
teensy-wincy overrated.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't know. Darren Elkins, the damage isn't necessarily fucking Damian Maia 2.0 either. I mean, I know he's a good grappler, though, to be fair. Yeah. He's a competent grappler. Either way, listen. I like Bryce Mitchell.
So let's go from the top, all right? Okay. You got Volkanovski's the champion.
Okay, let's not get ridiculous.
You got Max Holloway. You got Brian Ortega.
Way too big. Too big of a step up in competition right now.
You got Magomed Sharapov. You got Yair. You got Korean Zombie. You got a really good division at featherweight.
Yeah, no shit. The top 5 or 6 is completely fucked. What do we got? Keep going.
You got Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett, Jeremy Stevens, Arnold Allen.
Jeremy Stevens. What do you think about Jeremy Stevens? You like that? That would be a. I mean, he should win that if he can impose his grappling game. But I mean, I tell you what, Jeremy Stevens is also not a guy you want to trifle with. Like if he fucks around and gets hit by Jeremy, he's taking a fucking nap.
You take the shots you took against Andre Thiele.
Yeah, Jeremy
Stevens.
He'll sleep you.
Yeah.
He'll sleep you. Oh, yeah, for sure. That's one thing you got to hand Jeremy Stevens, no matter what.
Same with Josh Emmett. I mean, he's proven he has some nasty hits.
Raw power. Certain dudes, that really is one of those things that's just God-given. Certain guys just got power in the hands, and they will fucking sleep you. Jeremy Stevens is one of those guys. So is Josh Emmett, too.
Yeah, Jeremy, I would say Jeremy's much more power, and I would say Emmett much more precision and timing.
He just puts him on the button. Him on the button. I'm sure he hits hard, too, but yeah, Jeremy just swings for the fucking fences. If he happens to clip you with one of these, you're in fucking trouble.
Yeah. Were you impressed yesterday with Greg Hardy?
No.
Okay. Is it because it went how you expected, so you weren't impressed?
It's because the cute fat cocksucker barely made 265. You want to know the goddamn truth? How the fuck do you almost fucking not make weight for heavyweight? I mean, for fuck's sake, everybody suck it out there. He's big, he's a thick guy. I don't give a fuck. He knows he's fighting at 265, right? That's been the fucking a lot of weight fucking limit.
Well, he made the weight.
On the second fucking try.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. He still made it.
It's heavyweight. For fuck's sakes. Goddamn, I've seen all kinds of... You see the slop donkeys that get in that cage. None of them miss weight, for fuck's sakes.
You just call them slop donkeys?
Yeah. Fucking big, gross-ass dudes. What the fuck? Like old Maurice Green's belly. Do you see the lower belly on that motherfucker jiggling?
I'm gonna start referring to myself as a slop donkey.
Might get you some sympathy, pussy.
I know, right? Oh, boy.
No, I was not impressed. I want to see Greg Hardy. Look, I tell you what I was impressed with. Short of Greg Hardy being a shitbird that he is and wanting to just hate him because, for all the obvious reasons, I was impressed with his performance against Volkov. He looked good there because Volkov is a bad motherfucker. Like, Maurice Green, whatever, man. So what? Quite frankly, I'm getting sort of tired of them giving him, I don't want to. He's nowhere near like the MVP level yet, but throw fucking him in there with somebody that can beat the fuck out of him. And then,
dude, he just made his fucking professional debut like not that long ago.
Well, bullshit. It's been like 2 years. I've been hearing this fucking Greg Hardy
bullshit. 2 years making your professional debut 2 years ago.
Well, he was a fucking football star forever. He's been fucking training at the highest level forever. Fuck's sake, and he's in heavyweight. He's fine. He's ready. Let's go. He fought. Listen, all bullshit aside, he went fucking 5 rounds with Volkov last year sometime. He's fucking ready. Throw him in the deep end of the pool. Either let him get a big win that we can all get hype about, or let him take this ass whipping that everybody's been waiting on him to take since he got to the UFC. What the fuck is Derek Lewis up to these days? Let's fucking get some. I mean, I'm tired of fucking around with Greg Hardy. Quite frankly, all bullshit aside, I'm tired of hearing it from both people. Every time Greg Hardy fights, you see everybody on fucking Twitter. They hate him, or the other people love him, or they don't understand why. For fuck's sakes, can we be done with him? Can he either just start, being a real name in this division, or can somebody just beat the piss out of him? I'm tired of seeing him. Maurice Green might be the guy that finally beats him up, and then fucking he knocks Maurice Green out, and we're all sad again. Man, give that dude a fucking high-level guy. Either let him sink or swim. You either knock this high-level guy out, or you take the beating we all want to see you take.
I love a Derek Lewis fight.
Something
for
like
multiple reasons.
Well,
One, Derek Lewis will just cut the best fucking promo in existence.
We already know
if he beats him.
We already know how he feels about women beaters. So I mean, he would be all over that. And quite frankly, I think Derek Lewis sort of deserves it. I don't think that anybody thinks he's going to be a champion. So why not give him sort of a high-profile fight, a guy he should beat that'll be able to headline a card and we'll all be super, throw Derek Lewis that softball. He deserves it, man. He's been in there with some fucking animal killers for a long time. Give him Greg Hardy. And quite frankly, Greg Hardy, here you go. A dude that's going to slug with you, that's going to give you all the ability to make your name. If you are who we think you are, if you got any fucking chance in the world against the Stipes or the Ngannous, knock out Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
If not, sorry, bud.
Or at least win a decision.
Well, yeah, or whatever. It's the last 5 rounds with that fucking dude.
Yeah. No, I agree. I got no issue with that. I'm very impressed with Greg Hardy. I mean, he's been a professional MMA fighter for just over 2 years. And not even just over 2 years. I think it's been just under 2 years. And he makes his debut on the professional circuit in just the highest profile fashion. All of his fights, he's come into them with a lot of hype and has had to manage that. And he's done a really good job for the most part. He had the illegal knees where he got DQ'd. And then he had the weird inhaler thing, and he had some weird shit happen in other fights too. But I'm just wildly impressed with him. And I think that's the piece of this narrative that isn't getting acknowledged. Imagine if Greg Hardy didn't have a name at all and makes his debut on the Contender Series and wins the way he does, and then continues to win the way he does, and then randomly gets in there with Volkov and goes 5 rounds, and people didn't hate Greg Hardy, people would be all over the dude's nuts. The only reason why they aren't is because they don't like him personally, which I get. That's fine. But if you removed that narrative, we would be so impressed with that guy.
Sure. I mean, he's even a former NFL player. What's not
I'm saying even taking that out. There's some random dude that makes a fucking debut on the Contender Series, professional debut on the Contender Series.
Sure. Heavyweight. Interesting heavyweight.
And then goes to where he is. I mean, people would be so impressed, like we are with Chimaev.
Right.
We're so impressed with Chimaev, kind of for a similar reason.
Sure.
He hasn't been around that long.
Right.
And he's just super impressive.
Setting the world on fire. Yeah. Well, I mean, but, if it was a fifth, we'd have been drunk. I mean, you're right, but
let me tell you who else I'm just wildly impressed with. Is Kevin Holland.
Okay, now that's a fucking impressive.
That dude is
person
another.
I can get behind.
That is another one of those guys that just feels like if he's on, like he's gonna be just next to impossible to get out of there.
Yeah,
right?
He looks good when he's on.
There's chinks, right?
Sure,
chinks in the armor, but I think at the end of the day, like if that dude is on, he is terrifying.
Well, you know what?
He's so strong.
To speak to somebody else that was on this card, sometimes it's good enough to just be fun. Bobby Green. I always like watching Bobby Green fight. He's got this sort of poor man's Anderson Silva vibe to him. Like, he's always got his hands down. He's always in exciting fights. He always lands some pretty good shots, to be honest. Like, no matter who Bobby Green's in there with, even if he loses a fight, he'll land on you. Charismatic, fun. Like, again, nobody's going to mistake him for a title contender. But I tell you what, every time I see his fucking name on a card, I'm here for it. He's fun. There's something to be said for just having an interesting style and bringing it every time. Like, I feel like that's something that really fighters should really embrace because not to be the bearer of bad news, but as we all know, most men and women are not going to be champions. Most men or women will not be John Jones or Habib Nurmagomedov or some sort of character like that. They're not going to be an all-time great, but you can be a Chris Lytle or a Matt Brown whoever the fuck you want to fucking name, who's just been a super exciting guy who's etched their name in the sport, Vanderlei Silva. I mean, he had the belt a couple times here and there, but he's a legend.
I think Matt Brown's a better example of someone that's just, he's never hit the pinnacle, but like that's a guy that's been around for fucking ever, and we love watching him.
Exactly. And they're saying
you don't have to reach the pinnacle to really be what you're saying. I'm just repeating what you're saying, but yeah,
a legend, so to speak, kind of. I mean, those dudes are legends, man.
So he can get there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as you're exciting and entertaining, that fucking counts for a lot, man. A lot.
And then I'm obviously avoiding talking about the main
sure.
thing.
We'll get to that.
There's nothing else on the card.
This was a bit of a lackluster card, especially on paper.
But good. It was a great card.
Right.
But yeah, I mean,
on paper, it's like there's not a lot of names.
You had a Sean Strickland sighting. You got an Alexander Hernandez.
He looked good
sighting.
too. He looked good. And Alexander, good Lord Almighty, he caught a body, didn't he? I wasn't familiar with the other gentleman, so I'm assuming that's sort of they lobbed him the softball. But boy, let me tell you something.
You're talking about Alexander Hernandez?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean he's been around.
Who did he knock out?
Drutzenmacher, I think is his name. He's been around for a while.
I tell you what. Here's the thing, right? Here's my thing with like quote unquote gimme fights or softballs or what have you. I really don't have a problem with them. But here's the thing. If you, as the favored fighter, if they lob you a softball to sort of get back on the horse, there's a little bit of pressure on you when you take that fight. For me. Because it's like when you take one of those fights, you need to do exactly what Alexander Hernandez did last night. You need to fucking destroy them so that it's like, okay, you know what I mean? You lob me the slow ball, boom, here's your motherfucking home run, Jack. Like, now put me back in there with somebody I should be in there with. Like, that's exactly what you do. Because I seen somebody on Twitter say that last night, like, great knockout, but a bad matchup, very overmatched. Fair enough, but it happens sometimes. I think we don't do enough of that in MMA. Sometimes when you got a prospect like Alexander coming off a fucking L early in his career, the right thing to do is get his confidence back. Give him a guy that he should beat. Again, the problem with that is now the pressure's on you, Alexander. You better come out there and fucking, knock this dude out, which, to be fair, boy, did he.
Yeah. No, 100%.
All right. I think we can officially say with all that fucking little rant that Alex is back. It's time to see him against a name we're all familiar with at this point.
Let's keep watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to our...
The meat and potatoes?
Let's get the meat and potatoes.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it.
So, first of all, I'll just ask you the question.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to think of the order of this. All right, let's just start here. Is Anderson Silva done fighting in the UFC?
Yes.
Okay. Is Anderson Silva done fighting?
No.
Okay. Where is Anderson Silva going?
Okay, so now it gets hard. I think those first two were fucking gimmies. I do think he's done in the UFC for sure. I do think, he pretty much all but said he going to fight again.
Pretty much.
So the big question becomes where? Now, I will say this. I think that Anderson has quite a good relationship with the UFC. It's been up and down throughout the years. Everybody has their bumps with DW. What are you going to do? But I think overall, they've been really good to him. He's made a shitload of money. He's made his whole career, basically, in the UFC. So part of me feels like he might be like, all right, Dana, check this out. I know, obviously, coming off another knockout loss, y'all aren't really in the Anderson Silva business anymore. But since we've had such a great relationship, I'm going to not go to Bellator just because I fuck with y'all and I'm not going to give them one. I am going to fight again, though, because I'm crazy. I expect Anderson to either chase crazy money fights like the winner of Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson. Don't be surprised if you see fucking Anderson box one of those characters or something. That would be sort of interesting and fun. I could see him doing that. He finally gets the Roy Jones fight, even if it is fucking 10 years too late. Or I see him shooting back to Japan.
Going to one?
Yeah, or Rizin. Yeah. He can sort of fucking take big name fights against whoever the fuck at whatever weight division, probably fucking take steroids, get paid a shitload of money.
One is China, right?
One is China, yes. See, I would probably put my money on Rizin. I think Rizin's more Anderson style. He doesn't have to compete a lot. They do them sort of... Rizin sort of seems like they're trying to run the sort of old school Pride and Dream MMA scene. So I feel like that seems like a pretty good fit. Now, look, I could be wrong. Maybe he'll go to Bellator and try to actually keep his career on path.
Well, because then you could have fights against Ryan Bader at 205.
Sure.
You could have Gegard, obviously.
But there's real fights for him.
Yeah.
But I guess so. Maybe that's the question. Does Anderson actually want to fight, as in like still prove himself that he's one of the best in the world,
or does he
just want to still?
Shit?
Yeah. Does he want to still make money and compete and train because that's what he's been doing his whole life? I sort of lean that way.
Goes over to Ryzen and fights Gabby Garcia.
Yeah. For real. Does like a Muay Thai fighter, goes and does jiu-jitsu. Or again, real talk. I sort of really lean towards like the winner of the Roy Jones Mike Tyson boxing match.
I like that prediction.
I think that if he
can you imagine watching Anderson Silva versus Mike Tyson
in a boxing match?
Can you imagine?
My cock's hard right now. I mean, honestly, if we
dude, speaking of boxing, how about that fucking Gervonta Davis knockout?
Oh my God, did you watch that?
Yeah.
I didn't think you'd actually watch it, you cute cocksucker.
I like Gervonta Davis. I don't like him as a person.
Well, yeah, he's a scumbag too.
Yeah, but
he's a fun boxer.
He's fun to watch, though, man.
Dude, quick fucking, and we won't make this long because it's not a boxing podcast. So I'm telling you, man, boxing is fucking lit right now. Boxing is actually pretty fucking fun.
Well, and you had a big one where there's a bit of an upset. Last week. Was it last week or?
Yeah, I think it was last weekend. It was the same weekend, I think, as the Habib fight. Could be wrong about that. Maybe it was a weekend before. Anyways, yeah, Lomachenko finally fucking lost. It was pretty close fight. The thing that's interesting, too, about boxing, once you start watching it, is you notice the sort of, like, a lot of people watch boxing and are like, this is boring. Just shout out to Keith. This is boring. I don't like boxing. I tune in just to tell you that I don't like it. So fuck off. The thing about boxing is you have to understand, like, and I'm not trying to sound patronizing or like a dick, but it's different than MMA. Yeah. Like, Lomachenko in the boxing match.
I'm not a big boxing fan.
And fair enough. But just for the record, sometimes in boxing, there's a lot more rounds. So there's very much I'm going to give you these first 3 rounds, see what you're doing. They're going to be boring, but then I'm going to kick it on later in the fight. Lomachenko ended up losing his fight, but that was clearly, he threw like one punch the first 2 or 3 rounds. I mean, he threw more punches than that, but he was clearly trying to find this dude's timing. And then towards the end of the fight, he did sort of start lighting him up. It was just too little too late. That's what sort of makes boxing interesting, though, is that sort of dynamic of, are they going to come out balls to the wall, or are they going to take the Floyd Mayweather approach and the Tyson Fury approach and sort of like download information for the first few rounds? It's fucking entertaining, man. There's a lot of really exciting guys.
It's why at the end of the day you can't give Conor too much credit, because ultimately Floyd was doing a Floyd thing.
Sure,
right? Letting it be a lot closer. I don't think he was letting it be closer because he was trying to make it interesting. I think he was keeping it closer because he was treating it like a normal boxing match, and he was.
Absolutely. I do think there are a lot of guys in MMA that Floyd could have clowned harder. There are guys that Floyd could have just made like whiff and fall on the floor, like because they're
Connor's
boxing.
Good enough that it's like I got to treat this like a real fight.
Yeah. I would give Conor a little credit, but yeah, Conor was never fucking going to win that fight.
Yeah.
He landed one uppercut. That's the one punch I think that he landed that Floyd didn't see coming, and it didn't really even rock him. I mean, it woke him up, but like every other sort of jab and body blow that Conor landed was sort of given to him by Floyd.
Yeah.
Conor did surprise with that one uppercut. He was like, oh fuck, can't be having that fucking happen now. Right. That was a little shocking.
Yeah, more than a couple of those, I'm not going to be terribly thrilled.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. I would like to see him versus Roy Jones.
God, Anderson versus Roy Jones or Mike Tyson in a boxing match. I mean, real talk, that's probably one of the more exciting things I could think for. Because listen, okay, so let's kind of sort of get into last night. He ends up getting knocked out by Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall's stepping backwards, lands a counter, fucking straight right hand right down the pike. Anderson
Second time
drops.
he had knocked him down.
Yeah. It's just like I know Uriah's good and he's sort of got that little Anderson vibe to him too, sort of a pinpoint accurate striker or whatever. But Anderson's clearly done at this point. Like I don't think we need there's no more questions.
It's not real easy to get Anderson out of there.
Well, no,
and the fact that he got him out of there, I want to give Uriah Hall some credit.
Sure,
because that's not an easy thing to do. Even if Silva's done, quote unquote, that's still not an easy thing to do because of the way that Anderson Silva fights. It's difficult to really get him out of there.
That's true.
But Uriah just timed stuff perfectly, and that was his fight basically from moment one, and he never really looked back.
Anderson's just done. He's just too old. And quite frankly, I guess just to speak on this a little bit, for me personally, I hate these fights because what did we learn? What was this fight for? At the end of the day, Was it to give Anderson a chance to maybe get a win over a slightly decent, credible opponent on his way out the door? Because I'm going to tell you something. This fight for Uriah Hall didn't mean shit to me. The idea that now they're going to say Uriah Hall beat Anderson Silva is almost, real talk, fucking what's the word I'm looking for? What the fuck? Not embarrassing, but patronizing. It's rude to Anderson to say that he, like, Uriah Hall didn't beat Anderson Silva. He beat a 45-year-old ghost of Anderson Silva. You know what I mean? Chris Weidman.
But Ryan Hall did beat BJ Penn. I'm just trying to fuck with you.
By this logic, not really. What the fuck?
I'm just trying to fuck with you.
But that is true, though. You know what I mean? Like that. Like at this point, when guys get wins over veterans in the absolute twilight of their careers, and then try to say, "Well, he's got a win over Anderson Silva," it's a bit disingenuous. No, like
it's not the same thing as saying Chris Weidman has.
Yeah, right. It's like it's not the same, man. Getting a win over them at that point in their career, even like with Fedor or somebody, you know. When Bader knocked out Fedor, it didn't mean the same thing.
Was it Bader or was it Matt Mitrione? Did Bader do it too?
I think both of them might have. I know Matt Mitrione did for sure.
Matt Mitrione did for sure.
Listen, however you want to cut that cake. Again, let me tell you something. Matt Mitrione's knockout of Fedor pales in comparison to Fabricio Verdum's submission of Fedor.
100%.
Because when it happens, fucking matters. Like, yeah, Uriah Hall knocked out Anderson Silva. Let me tell you something. If Uriah Hall would have fought Anderson Silva 7, 8, 9 years ago, he would have got fucking beaten like a redheaded stepchild. And I truly believe that. So it's sort of weird to let these...
Ryan Bader knocked him out too, very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, so if Ryan Bader, and this is such sort of a rude thing to say to guys like Ryan Bader, but I just feel like it's true. If Ryan Bader would have fought Fedor in Pride, I feel like Fedor beats the dog shit out of Ryan Bader. Yeah. So it just seems, I don't know, I have a little bit of a problem with this. It's like when guys get to a certain point, why even let them fight those other dudes? What the fuck? It's not worth it. It's not the same. Like it sort of sullies the fighter's good name, and it like sort of gives a false implication of how good this other fighter could be. Like again, now we get this whole idea, and they'll probably say it in the promo for your guys. Oh yeah, coming off knocking out a legend, and it's like, dude, that wasn't the same thing.
No, I feel you. I mean, the problem is how else are you supposed to word it?
I know, but it's like they lean on it. They do it on purpose. Like fucking last night after he gets the win. Fucking who's the dude that was doing the commentating last night? Not
Brandon Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Fucking there might be a new contender at 85. Nope, there sure ain't, buddy. Let's not get fucking carried away because he knocked out a fucking 45-year-old Anderson Silva, man.
It's like when you have go with Greg Hardy, for instance, where when people who hate Greg Hardy talk about how he has 2 losses, you're like, okay. One of the losses was a DQ.
Well, right.
And the second loss was against Volkov within the first year and a half of his professional fighting debut.
And he didn't get finished, which I hold sort of like
so it's
in
like,
a lot of pretty high esteem.
It's kind of disingenuous to focus on his 2 losses.
It's not telling the full story, that's for sure.
And it's kind of a similar concept with this.
Yeah, it's like you've got to win over him.
You got to win over a legend in Anderson Silva, but at the end of the day, we all know what it meant.
Right.
We all know what it meant.
It's like so does fucking Jared Cannonier.
We'll say it, and we'll you beat Anderson Silva, and when they cut the promos, we're all gonna be like, yeah, he beat Anderson Silva, but we all know.
Yeah,
we know.
Yeah.
We know what we're really saying.
I mean, exactly. Like real talk. Now that he's got this win, does anybody think he stands a snowball's chance of hell at fighting Israel because of that? Like, no. I mean, you know what I mean? Ooh, fuck. Speaking of that, before we fuck around and lose track of thought, we'll come back to this in just a moment because Anderson deserves his fucking shine.
Anderson Silva, Israel Adesanya. Dana White says that he is going to be fighting Jan Blachowicz next. I also love how people gave Israel shit here, like, oh, now he moves up. He said the whole fucking time he's going to move up in 2021.
Yeah.
He kept saying that.
Well, and he did say that. I think Izzy's a genius. I mean, first off, listen, he said he was going to fight Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier did not win that fight. And quite frankly, I'm on the train with Izzy. Sorry, Robert Whitaker. I don't think you deserve the rematch, bro. I mean, maybe okay. I shouldn't say that. You do deserve it. I just don't think you get a snowball's chance at hell of winning. I just think it's a horrible style matchup. You did fuck all in that first fight, and quite frankly, your performances against Darren Till and Jared Cannonier don't make me think you can compete with Izzy. Matter of fact, it don't make me think shit. It makes me think that you're exactly who I thought you was. A super tough, gritty veteran who finds a way to win unless you're fighting a ninja. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Izzy Adesanya, if you're fighting a pinpoint accurate striker, you just ain't got nothing for him. Your sort of aggressive balls to the wall style blows up in your face in those fights.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they're not doing that rematch. Sorry for you, Robert Whitaker. It is what it is. I love the idea of Izzy moving up to 205. I think if he does this and he happens to knock out Jan, it's genius. The John fight needs to marinate. John's going to heavyweight anyways. Go to heavyweight and win, John. Do you. Let Izzy come up to 205 and grab that belt. Let him hold the belt in the corner and taunt you with it on Twitter.
Yeah. It's
fucking amazing. I swear to God, Vince McMahon sometimes has to sit back and fucking just fume over the sort of storylines that write themselves in it. But you can't write this shit. Izzy moves up and knocks out Jan. Fucking John moves out and knocks out Stipe. And they're the two kings of the world fucking growling at each other through the gate. Fucking Izzy's got his old belt. He's got the heavyweight belt. They're fucking both undefeated. Fuck off with the Matt Hamill horse shit. They're both undefeated. Holy fucking shit, I love it. Habib who, goddammit? Habib who? Fuck.
I love it.
Perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, I love the Izzy moving up and fighting.
They also announced, I don't know how long ago they announced this, but they also announced that Tough is coming back.
Oh, yeah. Well, last night.
Was that last night they announced it?
They announced it a while back, but last night it was official.
Last night is when they cut a promo.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you, fucking the UFC's promo people do a good job. I ain't gave a fuck about Tough in a month of Sundays, but, you know, after watching that promo last night, I got to say I was sort of intrigued. I was like, huh, okay. They showed all the good ones. Fucking let me bang, bro. Listen, all bullshit aside, I was reminded watching that promo last night of how many fucking, talent, fucking rich stars Tough provided. Listen, sometimes you forget Bisping's doing the promo for this fucking thing, or not the promo rather, but kind of the broadcast for this. What the fuck? So he's kind of bringing it in and bringing it out. Bisping was the fucking season 2 winner of this show.
Yeah.
I mean, Rashad Evans, Forrest Griffin. I mean, fucking Ryan Hall. You can go on.
Kamaro.
On and on of champions and legends.
And that's what I love about
Matt Brown. I mean, a lot of talent.
That's what I love about the Contender Series. Is we are going to have a champion from the Contender Series.
Oh, no doubt about it.
It's going to happen.
No doubt about it. Yeah, these things are fucking fun. Tough got really stale the last couple years, season 23, and I think sort of the idea of it started getting a little stale. Quite frankly, in a weird way, I think maybe they played it well. Sometimes distance makes the heart grow fonder. Sometimes you just need to miss something for a little while. Because quite frankly, I haven't been interested in Tough in a long time. But now that we're sort of talking about it and it's got a little promo and it's coming back, color me intrigued.
Right.
Like, I'll probably watch the first episode now. And if they get the right coaches and they tweak it a little bit and make it a little more interesting, it could still be a really good show, man. I've given Tough shit the last couple of years because I'm a fucking hipster. So I'm like, yeah, fuck Tough, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that Tough actually was a really good source of finding great talent for a while. Really fucking worldwide fucking, absolute championship level talent, man.
Yep. Nope. I agree.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool, too. Tough's coming. I feel like they also announced a big fight. I thought you were going to say another big fight. Well, I guess, is it Stipe and Francis? I think maybe they made that official.
Oh, I didn't see that.
If I'm not mistaken, they did another one with the whatever fucking fight we were just talking about, for fuck's sakes.
Let me look.
There was another big fight announcement. It was from because it was from the press conference. He said that, and then what else did he fucking say?
Dana White targeting Stipe versus Francis 2.
Maybe that was it. It was confirmed
for March.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's another one that's done. Done data. which makes sense. I mean, come on, what else was it going to be at this point? Like that's the one.
What do you think it goes differently this time around?
I hope. I mean, I hate this. Stipe's just not a fun champion. And again, I hate saying that because, we're both Ohio boys. I want to root for Stipe. He's a good fucking salt-of-the-earth guy. But quite frankly, he's boring as a heavyweight champion of the world, man. He's sort of just as boring. I think Francis would be more fun. He'd be a sexier sell to the public. Francis versus John is a sexier fight than Francis versus Stipe. And let's face it. If Stipe does win, it's probably going to look a lot like, their last fight. Stipe controls the wrestling, gets him tired, so on and so forth. If Francis win, he catches another body. So I guess that's also why I'm like, I'd rather see Francis win and get that big, massive first or second round knockout. Because the truth is, too, man, there's no hype like a knockout machine. Or quite frankly, just a finish machine. Even when Ronda was getting them, you start finishing folks in the first round, whether it's armbar or knockout, if you do it every time, there's just something that we get excited for. Nobody gets all that excited, I mean, unless you're Habib, for sort of takedown domination like Stipe did to Francis the first time. I mean, the real pure fucking heads in the sport will enjoy it, but most people are going to be like, meh.
Yeah.
The first fight wasn't extremely memorable for the fucking Joe Blow audience, so.
So the next card we have isn't all that great for the UFC, the actual card.
Okay, yeah.
And then after that, we got Islam Makhachev versus. So the next card headliner is Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. Then after that, it's Islam Makhachev and Rafael dos Anjos.
That's a good fight.
That's a good fight. The rest of the card is just a card.
Yep, makes sense.
I mean, it's fine. There's some names on here, some fun stuff, but it's just a card.
Nothing special.
And then after that there's some good Bellator stuff in here too. So then you get to UFC 255. So that's headlined by Devison Figueiredo and Alex Perez, and then the co-main is Valentina Shevchenko versus Jennifer Maia. Ugh. And then the rest of the main card is Shogun versus Paul Craig.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
And then Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval.
How in the is this a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so fucked. I ain't bit more paying for a pay-per-view with Shogun in one of the featured slots than the Man on the Moon. And against Paul Craig.
After that...
Didn't they fight once before?
Finishing out... I don't know.
Yeah, they did. I swear they did. What the fuck am I watching a Shogun-Paul Craig rematch for?
Yeah, I'll look at that in a second. And then rounding out November is Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis.
Okay. All right. Well, Greg Hardy, guess what? You get the loser, shitbird. And that's me giving you a fucking, you get the loser, not the winner. Bud.
Unless Derek Lewis wins, then you get the winner.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Although Curtis Blades would be another fight that would be.
Oh, God. He would get destroyed in that. That's not even a question for me. What else you got in there? I mean, again, it's just kind of a card. There's some stuff on here, but it's.
God.
It's.
The UFC has such a bloated roster right now. There's a lot of guys and girls in the UFC that
after that is Jack Hermanson versus Darren Till.
Okay,
is the main event for that one. I'm going to see if I can get to where the pay-per-view is. The next pay-per-view after that is UFC 256. You got Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson at 145.
Now this is the end of the year card, though, right?
And then an unconfirmed rumor is Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. You got Mackenzie Dern on that one. You got Chase Hooper and Peter Barrett on the prelims. Be interesting. Who was it? It was the Kung Fu.
Karate Hottie?
No. The guy who just beat Chase Hooper.
Oh, Alex
Caceres.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the last pay-per-view of the year.
Woof. That's fucking.
And then rounding out the year is going to be an ESPN card, which is Leon Edwards versus Hazmat.
Jesus Christ.
Hamzat?
Yeah, that's the correct pronunciation.
I think is his nickname Hazmat?
Well, that's what I call him.
It's Fred's nickname.
Yeah, that's my
Marlon Moraes, Rob Font is on that one. I like that fight a lot.
It's a good fight. Wow, there's some fucking...
Tyson Nam versus Matt Schnell, I actually like that as well.
Some light cards, boy. Some light cards for the rest of the year, though.
I was really hoping we'd have a big pay-per-view to round out the year.
I do feel like...
I don't think we're going to. Do you think they're going to put something on that have Amanda Nunes, Amanda Nunes, co-main and they're going to throw a bigger fight?
No, I think they're going to try to do the Peter Yan and Aljamain. Yeah, and just run it with two title fights like that. Which is okay, but neither one of those title fights are real big sellers. But I will say this. With all these sort of, I mean, not to be a fucking dick, but like kind of no-name cards coming up for the end of the year, it does free up a lot of the big names for next year. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have John at heavyweight. I at this point, I'm pretty sure Habib comes back. Connor's fighting in January. Izzy's going to fight for the 200. There's a date for that, isn't there, I think?
I don't think so.
Oh, there's not? Oh, okay. Francis Stipe in March. Like, we've got some big fucking shit coming up. So because of all these sort of weak cards, there's, guys are going to really be fucking the first part of next year should be super exciting.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Mousasi fucking Douglas Lima fight?
Yes.
I didn't catch it. I missed it.
The problem was, I think Lima did better than I imagined he was going to do. I mean, he still clearly lost.
Sure.
But it was just like, how close? I mean, was that fight even really close for anybody going into it? Am I crazy for just assuming that Mousasi was going to just flat out win and there wasn't really much of a question, or am I being weird?
I don't watch a whole lot of Bellator for the I've seen Douglas Lima compete in Bellator a few times. I know he's a vicious striker, but yeah, I was sort of on board with you. I mean, look,
he's going up in weight.
Rory had a win over Douglas Lima. I think he lost to him too, but I'm pretty sure he had a win over him. And he went up and fought Gegard and got the piss beat out of him. So that was sort of my measuring stick that, like, I definitely didn't think that Douglas Lima was going to come in and knock him out. I mean, it just...
Where the fuck is Rory these days? Did he retire?
I don't know. He's probably praising Jesus in Canada or something. He got that Jesus bug.
Oh, I forgot he did that.
He's really been quite the same since then.
He did that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, he was a fucking tough, fucking vicious dude, man.
He had some savagery, and then I feel like you start going the Jesus route, you lose some of that savagery.
You kind of have to. I mean, if you're going to really actually do the whole fucking...
Oh, no, I guess... thing. I mean, I'm being really judgmental right now, but...
Well, I guess that's true. I guess there are some dudes.
I'm not a religious guy, so...
To be fair, I think John believes in fucking Jesus. John Jones, that is.
I don't know. I think it's all fucking fake.
No, stop it.
I think it absolutely is.
You think he's an atheist?
I don't know if he's whatever, but I don't think he's religious.
I think he believes in God.
I don't know, but that doesn't mean you're religious.
Well, that's exactly what it means, Kyle.
No.
You don't have to be a good Christian to be a Christian, for fuck's sakes.
No, but
you just have to play the game.
But I'm saying the image that he portrays is that he's, like, devout, and I don't think that he is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm definitely not trying to make the
That's
argument.
what I'm saying.
I'm not making the argument that he's devout. I'm just saying...
I'm saying the image that he tries to portray, I don't think is actually what he is.
Well, of course not. But I don't think also that if you were having fucking drinks and doing lines with John, that he would be like, that Jesus thing, I don't even believe in that fool. I'm an atheist for real. I don't believe in none of that. Like, I think quite frankly, I think he's like most Christians. He fucking, shows up to church on Sunday and then does whatever the fuck he wants throughout the week and says sorry on the fucking weekend.
It says sorry on the weekend. I like that.
What are you going to do?
That's a good description of I'm going to go down a rabbit hole if I don't watch it. Oh, God, I feel inspired to shit talk.
Where are we at? Are we done with Anderson? I mean,
we're talking about Trump next, or where are we at?
Yeah, you're fucking crazy now. What we got? 2 days?
Did you hear the Biden gaffe that he made the other day?
No.
Have you heard this one? When we get off here, I'll show it to you. It's hilarious.
No.
He was talking, and he just I don't know what he was trying to say, but what he said was, I don't know what he was trying to say, but he said whatever it was not intelligible. And it's just really funny because it's one of those, when people you slip up over your words, and you do like the way that when John Travolta was introducing Idina Menzel. Have you seen that clip?
No.
Okay, I got to show you that clip too. He introduces Idina Menzel, but he says the wrong name, but it's this weird amalgamation of her name.
Right.
But he says it with such confidence. You know what I mean? It was just such a weird thing. And that's kind of what Biden did, where he was saying something willfully, but what came out just wasn't words. But he still kept saying it as if he was saying actual words.
Yeah.
When people do that, you see it on the news sometimes.
Yeah.
It was just really it's bizarre to experience that. Because you're like, did he have a stroke? What was that?
Well, I mean, to be fair, he does fucking lose his train of thought relatively easily these days. But I like to cut fuckers like that slack, though, too. If you're talking a lot, you're going to fuck around, and I probably fucking stumbled a couple of my words in this last hour just because we're speaking so much. So
Yeah,
it's like,
the cuff.
Yeah, like people are, oh, you slurred a word. you jump the fuck up here and talk for 2 hours straight with the whole world watching it. See if you don't slur a word or put one word where it don't fucking belong. It's fucking hard when you're talking so much. So I don't put much stock into that shit. Quite frankly, I don't put much stock into politics at all anymore.
Sure.
I just let them ride like real talk, just quickly, not to get on this, but before we fucking wrap the podcast up. When we first elected Donald Trump, I was like, oh, shit, this is kind of wild. Like, I don't know a whole bunch about politics, but I know this fool was just on a reality show, and we just made him the president. That's probably not the greatest fucking idea in the world. But here we are 4 years later, and if I'm being completely fucking honest, my life hasn't changed a whole lot.
Sure.
I'm sure some people might not like to hear that. I'm not saying that I support Donald Trump. I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, my life has pretty much been the same as when Obama was president, as when Bush was president, whoever the fuck was before Clinton. He's in there getting his pole greased. My little punk-ass life in Dayton, Ohio was sort of the same. I mean, it doesn't, whoever the president is doesn't seem to trickle that way down. Like, I'm not high enough up on the ladder where it matters for those sort of things, honestly. Like, whatever I'm doing in my life and what I'm trying to accomplish with the podcast or whatever has fuck all. It doesn't matter whether it's Biden or Trump. So.
And I think that's the attitude I think people really should take.
Yeah, it's like
we get very intense with our beliefs, and it's like, dude,
just focus on you, man. That's all you can do.
Have personal responsibility and accountability for your actions. Don't compare what you're doing to what other people are doing. Focus on your own achievements. Hold yourself accountable every single day and achieve what you want to achieve. And you realize pretty quickly that the roadblocks you believe are in front of you are not actually in front of you. And I'm saying this as living proof of it. If you know my history, there are tons of reasons why I should not be successful. And I am successful. And it literally comes down to I made the decision one day to hold myself accountable and to stop giving myself passes for being a shitbird.
Right.
You know, I gave myself passes because of my past, and was proud of myself for basically achieving nothing.
Right.
And I stopped having that mindset.
Right.
I stopped being okay with being mediocre.
Right.
And, like, I think if people can go that route and just don't be okay, like, stop giving yourself excuses to suck.
Right.
Like, there's no reason for you to suck. Stop sucking.
And that sort of thing has fuck all to do with who the president is.
Yeah, exactly.
Or politics, or that's all about you.
That's not to say that there aren't issues and there aren't, like, overarching systemic things.
Sure.
But even something like systemic racism can be cured simply by you personally holding yourself accountable and doing your own thing.
Well, if everybody does the right thing.
The systemic, not even everybody. Just you personally. The systemic issue that exists, whether it exists or not, becomes irrelevant. Because if the systemic issue was truly pervasive, no black man would be successful. No black woman would be successful.
Well, right.
There are plenty, obviously, of persons of color who are wildly successful individuals, right?
Right.
So that doesn't say that there is not a systemic issue.
Sure.
Because I personally believe that there is.
Right.
But and just because there's success with persons of color doesn't negate there being a systemic problem. However, there's proof of concept that even with a systemic issue, you can rise above it.
Sure.
So that comes down to personal accountability and personal responsibility to be successful and to stop blaming outside forces for why you're sucking.
Yeah.
You're sucking because you suck. So stop sucking.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Regardless, the thing is, if you want to do anything about any of those issues, here's the reality, too. And this is just the sad fact of being an American, or quite frankly, just being in the world. Money talks and bullshit walks. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you want to help change anything, your best bet is to focus on what's right in front of you, make as much money as possible, invest that money, make more of it, and then start shoveling in the right direction. Even if it's not fair. How the fuck do you think all these other people get shit done? The politics. It's money. Money and lobbyists. It's not some magic, fuckers aren't like, contrary to what fucking Alex Jones would have you believe, they're not just fucking killing virgins, man. Yeah. It's just money and power. Like, you want to know how you get shit done in this fucking world, in this country? Money.
Well, and this also this idea of, and kind of like what I was saying, like there being a systemic issue doesn't negate you being able to be successful, right? It's the same thing they talk about, 10 people hold like 95% of the wealth, right?
Right, exactly.
Cool. That doesn't stop you from being wealthy.
Well, right.
There are plenty, my whole fucking street's wealthy,
Sure.
That doesn't, you don't have to be the fucking CEO of Amazon to live a very comfortable and happy existence.
And it's also just the way it goes. Nothing will change that. So those 10 fuckers did do it. Like,
yeah, good for them.
Yeah, I just joined the party.
Did they have to fucking stomp on some throats to get there? And are they probably kind of shitty people? Sure, but who cares? Well, it's just that doesn't stop you from being successful.
Well, right.
Somebody else's. I fucking love capitalism. I do.
Sure,
I love it.
Sure.
This is why. Because people's wild success doesn't stop you from also being successful.
Right.
And if you can stop comparing yourself to the fucking CEO of Amazon, just make $500,000 a year, $1 million a year, $2 million a year, $5 million a year.
Sure.
You know how fucking easy it is to make. It is not complicated to make $1 million a year. It's not. We look at that number and we assume it's some ridiculous thing because the thought of $1 million, it sounds ridiculous.
I mean, it still sounds pretty ridiculous.
It's not.
But I know what
it's
you mean.
not that much money.
It's not impossible by no stretch.
$1 million a year doesn't even dramatically change a lot of people's lives. It doesn't.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm telling you.
We're getting in the weeds. $1 million a year would change my life.
When you go, I understand. I'm not talking about inner city.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. It's not as impossible as what people. It's not some crazy dream number.
It's not even all that crazily difficult.
Well, right. No, I get what you're saying. Like like you said, most people look at $1 million. It's like,
if that's what you want,
fuck off. I would never make $1 million.
If that's what
that's
you
impossible.
want, or
most of us are in the game.
Or you're a police officer making $55,000, $60,000 a year, and guess what? You have a nice house.
You're happy as a lark.
You have a nice house, and you have a nice family, and you have food on your fucking table. Like, you don't even need the $1 million number.
Right.
And if you're making $60,000 a year, that doesn't mean you can't take $4,000 a year and invest it into other shit and make it into more.
Well, you know what? I thought about that too. To be fair, like I've thought about that before. Like just kind of being from the inner city and working with not much money growing up. You know how much money $50,000 a year is? Like
it's a lot.
Like $60,000 a year is basically like $5,000 a month for give or take. $5,000 a month. You're rich in Dayton. Like we were just talking before we went live about houses. It was like I think it was talking like $170,000, $180,000 house, and you're like, yeah, about $1,200 a month, or like $200,000, like about $1,200 a month. If you make $5,000 a month, that means you could have a fucking baller ass mansion in Dayton, low key, for $1,200 a month, and then so car payment, blah blah blah. You got about $2,400 in all your bills a month. That means you get $2,500 a month to blow. Fucking Gucci shoes I'd have, and that's on $50,000 a year. Can you imagine what $250,000 a year? Like, I guess to your point, how much fucking would you need to be happy, man? Like that, if you're making fucking $15,000 a month, goddamn, how much money do you need? Like, what do you need to do to be fucking okay in life? What the fuck? That's enough money to buy designer clothes and jewelry and a fucking boat and a car. Maybe not all in the first month, but if you make $300,000 a year for 4 years straight, you're fucking great.
Or, and I'm gonna go a different route. If you make that kind of money, you fucking invest it, and you don't buy a goddamn boat, and you don't buy Gucci shoes.
But this is all about being happy.
Well, but the problem I think that people run into. I love how this is where the podcast went.
Yeah.
Completely my fault.
Fucking
my fault completely. We talked about everything. What else is it?
I know what I'm saying. It's basically
we'll wind up on this, but. People also get hung up on needing to make more money to buy shit that they don't need, that isn't even actually making them happy, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to fill voids with shit. And the shit you buy creates more of a you got to have somewhere to fucking put it. You got to keep people from fucking stealing it. You got to keep it from getting ruined. You buy a bunch of shit you don't need in order to try to make yourself happy. People are goddamn miserable in this world. And
you know what? Let me tell you something. I'm going to push back on it, but I'll tell you a little story.
Sure.
One time, I think I was probably like 16. I was in high school still. And I dropped out in sophomore year, so I was probably 15, 16.
Did you ever graduate?
No. I dropped out sophomore
year.
Did
you have a GED?
No. I tried it once, but I fucking got stoned. And you know the paper that they give you to do your math on? I did my essay on that paper. I wrote the fucking words there. Come to find out, it's not. You're supposed to do it in the book. So I just went ahead and fucking canceled that one.
You're one of my favorite people, Fred.
I was watching. I thought, what the fuck were we talking about before that? Fucking GD threw me.
You're talking about money. You're talking about it's a story about you. You were pushing back on me about saying that things don't make you happy.
Ah, perfect. Yes. Okay. 15, 16, sophomore year, high school, freshman, sophomore year. I used to get the Jordans. So if you're not from the inner city or from Dayton or some sort of city like that, you might not understand how big of a deal this was. But getting the Jordans when I was growing up was everything. If you had a new pair of J's, you were the man. My dad was nice enough that he would fucking get me the J's. And listen, it got so fucking bad that you'd have to flat skip school one day. You had to miss if you weren't at the mall by 9, 10 in the morning. You know, this wasn't like now where you can have an app on your phone. The fucking shoes sell out. You're done. You got to go there and wait in the line. That's it. Oddly enough, they were some of the ugliest J's I've ever got.
Yeah.
Got this pair of Jordans. Didn't go to school that day. Got home around 11, noon, some shit like that. I was walking to my buddy Robert's house, walking down the street. I look over. And this big-bootied specimen says, "Hey, are them the new Jordans?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Come here, let me see them." Fast forward to me fucking bending her over, throwing her a fuck in her bedroom about an hour and a half later. And those Jordans literally got me some pussy. And that made me happy as a lark that day. So for all you fuckers out there that think that things like that don't make you happy, I'm here to tell you they do. That fucking pair of shoes or that shirt or that tie or that cologne might just get your dick sucked. And if that don't make you happy, you need to check your fucking pulse.
What an amazing story.
So ever since then, I thought, you know what? This fucking designer clothes and shoes thing ain't the worst thing in the world, actually. I can keep these fucking Jordans.
Well fucking told, Fred.
I mean, listen, I'm just saying. It's a fucking true story, Jack. It's a true story.
It had intrigue, it had emotion, it had an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
And a nice little payoff at the end.
All right, that's it. We're out of here on that one.
All right, that's it.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right, boys.